Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, have a good day.
You as well. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a video of trying to fix broken Subarus. So we got two Subis right now that both need a little bit of work. Main goal today is to get Gary's motor out and completely torn down, try to figure out what exactly happened. Probably a spun rod bearing is my guess. And then we got STI up on the lift right now. We've had this car up on the lift for a while, just sitting, trying to figure out where the oil leak is coming from. That's the only issue that this car currently has, and it'd be nice to get that fixed because oil leaks are annoying. So I'm gonna take a look at this thing for a while. As soon as I get that oil leak fixed, we can get Gary up on the lift and get her engine out of the car. After further assessment, it looks like it's the turbo oil return line. It's not the actual rubber line itself that goes from the turbo to that metal fitting that is in the back of the head. It looks like it's the actual metal fitting that goes right into the back of the head, which I've never seen leak before on any Subaru in the world. To get a good angle on this, I might have to pull this car apart quite a bit, which I don't really want to do right now. I really need to get Bobby's motor out of her car to figure out all the parts that we have to order for it. But let me try to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. We can always pull that motor and then put this thing up on the lift later. Yeah, it's gonna be impossible to show, but that's what looks like is leaking. I wish it was just a rubber hose, but I don't think it is. I think if I pulled a CV on the passenger side and downpipe, uppipe, and wastegate setup, we would have pretty easy access to that. I don't think we're gonna have to pull the turbo to fix it, but regardless, let's move on and start tearing apart Bobby's STI. So the last time we drove this car, if you guys have not been following along, went to the track down or over in Seattle, Washington, and I tried to run a good pass. It was a very terrible pass, my worst pass ever. Also my only pass ever on the track. So I was very nervous. At the very end of the track, looked down at the access port, saw like negative 11 or negative 12 counts of feedback knock and knew the motor was toast. She now knocks around 3,000 to 4,000 RPM pretty badly. It's not even that bad. Today we're gonna tear this thing apart and see what's going on.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Have you guys ever wanted a supercar but don't want to spend the money to buy a supercar? Well, today I present to you a chance to win a 2022 McLaren GT. Today's video is sponsored by my friends over at Omaze, and they are giving you guys a chance to win a 2022 McLaren GT, all while supporting a great cause, Make a Wish. The McLaren has a top speed of 203 miles an hour, which I must say is quite a bit faster than any of these broken down Evas you guys see behind me. 612 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, all while being valued at $230,000. That's a hefty amount of money. If you want a chance to win this McLaren GT and to help make a wish, head down, first link down in the description box below, www.omaze.com/Devin Niemela to get your entries in. A little bit of info about Omaze. In 2021 alone, $27 million was donated to charity. 131 different nonprofit organizations were supported, and there was over 6,000 different Omaze winners, which is pretty incredible. In the United States and its territories, a wish is granted every 34 minutes, thanks to tens of thousands of donors, supporters, and volunteers advancing the Make-A-Wish vision. Help us reach our goal of raising $1 billion in a single year for charity, and get entered for a chance to win this beautiful McLaren GT. First link down below, www.omaze.com/Devin Niemela. Honestly, I was expecting to see a whole lot of copper in here. I'm not seeing much at all. I'm gonna pull apart the filter and see what's going on there. Well, we definitely have some copper, as to be expected, in our filter. Not a whole lot, no big flakes, just a ton of tiny little flakes. Engine is out of the car. I'm gonna go ahead and get the ACT clutch off and get this thing on an engine stand. We have to pull off the turbo kit, intake manifold, exhaust manifold, and then we could go ahead and start tearing the engine all the way down. Really excited to see everything that's wrong with it. Also, real quick, before I forget, I wanna show you guys what I was talking about on the hatch. So we have this fitting right here that goes in, it's a press fit into the head. I've never, ever once seen one leak, and I'm confident it is not from the hose right here, but it looks like it's leaking on the press fit that goes into the head. So if that's the case, I'm kind of worried that it's gonna be a difficult fix, but I guess we're gonna see. All right, so we have the engine down to just a short block, and I found a little bit of unexpected damage. Not too concerned with it, just because it's gonna be fully rebuilt, but something I wasn't expecting to see. If you look down in there, in the cylinder wall, you see the top of the piston, a little bit of pitting going on. That almost looks like detonation to me. There's a little scar on the cylinder wall, but yeah, right on the outside of that piston right there. You guys see that? A little detonation going on, which is completely understandable. We pushed this thing very, very hard for a lot of miles. And to all the people wondering, or I guess questioning whether or not this is a completely stock engine, stock pistons, I'll prove that when I pull them out. Let's go ahead and grab a head gasket real quick. Stock head gaskets, where's the part number? Part number's right up in that corner. Right there, stock head gaskets, factory head bolts. I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the pan. We can get this short block up on the table over here, and then we can pull it apart completely, check out the pistons, rods, check out all the bearings, figure out what bearing failed on us, and then we can move on from there. Here's the bottom of the heads, here's driver's side, and this guy over here is passenger side. We got the cases apart, and it looks like we just had one rod bearing failure is what it seems like so far. This is rod number 4, also the same cylinder that had the detonation on top of the piston. So here's number 4 right here. So clearly we had a little issue on number 4. Not a big deal. Let's go ahead and pull the rods off the crank. I'm guessing the crank is toast. Looks like the cases are fine. We can always send these cases in to either get bored out or have the closed deck service done on these things. So I want to see how bad the crank is. Crank might be usable, but I highly doubt it. Thankfully for a Subi, they're not all that expensive. Well, when the bearing stays with the crank, it's usually a pretty sweet sign. Yeah, that crank is toast for sure. All right, so full damage report. Here's what we got. Cylinder 4 rod, bearing spun, cylinder 4 piston, some detonation going on. So the crank is toast. Of course, I'm not gonna reuse any of the rods or pistons. Cases should be fine. Of course, they would need to be either bored out, they would need to be both bored out, and depending on whatever power level we go with these cases, because these cases aren't for this car, we already have a closed deck here at the shop. We could always do a closed deck service on that as well. Oil cooler, oil pump, bullshit because of copper shavings. Heads need to go to the machine shop to get completely gone through. Get all the copper shavings pulled out of there. What else? Turbo should probably be gone through. I need to find someone to do that because I really don't want copper inside the turbo, and then that goes back into the engine, hurts the engine and hurts the turbo at the same time, because there was quite a bit of copper, as you guys saw. So yeah, quite a expensive failure, but we knew, of course, pushing this engine as hard as we did for as long as we did, something is bound to happen. So it is what it is. All of the main bearings looked fine. Bores look pretty decent. Honestly, all of the rod bearings do show fairly significant wear. Not all that surprising.